Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach and we're doing another ECOMI VeVe video. This one, pardon me, is going to be quite important, I think. We're going to go quickly into the price, but some kind of hot off the press news I want to go over because it is important in my opinion to OMI, specifically looking at Disney CEO's comments on some stuff. Let's go through it. So currently the price is down actually by a fair bit compared to usual, but that's all good. So 6872 on a lower, 6716 on a higher, 7616. So honestly, more rage than I normally see ever, which is fine. But so let's set this up. So obviously recently we have seen Disney come out with their first ever premiering in the NFT world with VeVe. Very exciting. VeVe made history by taking on essentially the #1 IPs in the world, Disney, Marvel, etc., and bringing it to life. We've seen Simpsons, etc. It's been really good. Well, the drops have been far from perfect, but that's not the point. Now, someone who I follow very, very closely, someone who's been talking about the metaverse before VeVe even really was a thing as such, you know, back in like 2019, I think it was. Matthew Ball, an incredibly smart, interesting person, strategist, angel advisor, prolific essayist by the New York Times, currently works on Apillion, Makers Fund, and previous head of strategy at Amazon Studios. A lot of what I know about the metaverse has come through reading his essays, and a lot of VC land and a lot of tech land listen to Matthew Ball about his thoughts on this stuff. We'll go over some of his takes on some stuff later on. Now, he's quote tweeted Steve Kovac, writing, Chapek, who is of course Disney's CEO, Bob Chapek, just told Jay Burstone, Disney Plus is the company's metaverse but doesn't envision people experiencing it in VR. I am now confident he doesn't know what metaverse is. Pardon me. Matthew also making the joke that in 2020 the metaverse is a game, and now 2021 it's apparently just any digital app. So specifically, this is what Steve was quote tweeting, was Disney CEO Chapek just said metaverse on the earnings call. Now, I want to have a look at what Jay Burstyn, i.e. Julia Burstyn's coverage on this was, what was being said. Before we do that though, I want to quickly look through this, right? So Disney CEO, we're ready for our own metaverse. That in itself, interesting. Our efforts to date are merely a prologue on a time when we'll be able to connect the physical and digital worlds even more closely. Very exciting. Because that's what we're talking about, right? It's about essentially enhancing and building a digital experience that also can work with analog as well when we're looking at augmented reality. So Disney CEO Bob Chapek is preparing the company to blend its physical and digital assets in the metaverse. Bear in mind this is a Hollywood Reporter, so it's not a business savvy website. So, you know, as far as the readers are concerned, so, you know, it's not going to be NFT talk. The Walt Disney Company has a long track record as an early adopter in the use of technology to enhance the entertainment experience, said Wednesday during the company quarterly earnings call. Our efforts to date are merely a prologue to a time when we'll be able to connect the physical and digital worlds even more closely, allowing for storytelling without boundaries in our own Disney metaverse, and we look forward to creating unparalleled opportunities for consumers to experience everything Disney has to offer across our products and platforms whenever the consumer may be. Now, I'm not sure what their own Disney metaverse means. In fairness, I don't think that they're going to be going ahead and just straight away saying, hey everyone, we're the biggest IP in the world, we're about to put all of our assets on a startup company that doesn't actually have a proven track record of building something huge yet. Yes, VeVe does have a track record of building something, but is it huge yet? No, it's big. It's a difference, right? Obviously, we're talking semantics, but it's important, right? VeVe has not had the load of 10 million, not even really 1 million users on the app at one point, I don't think at least. We're still looking at the hundreds of thousands of users, which is amazing, but when you're scaling it to Disney, it's a different scale entirely. So of course they're not going to be saying, hey everyone, we're basing our entire IP on this one startup that you've never heard of. It just wouldn't work out. We've even seen Disney's fans' response to NFTs. It's very clear he's not even brought in crypto here whatsoever. Very important. Disney also has entered the virtual reality space with games and experiences that let users virtually interact with Disney characters and environments. Again, this is the sort of thing that they wanted. Realistically, this is why they would have gone with VeVe, is because of the collectible experience, right? The actual AR, the metaverse stuff, etc. The Star Wars franchise in particular has gotten the VR treatment that thanks to its relationship with IML X Lab, Lucasfilm's immersive entertainment studio, and guests at the Disneyland Resort will also get a special preview of the studio's game, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy Edge, on the Oculus Quest 2 later in November. Again, no mention at all of crypto or NFTs. Chapek's comments come as tech and entertainment companies appear to be closely following as Meta, recently branded as Facebook or from Facebook, shifts its focus to augmented and virtual reality into the metaverse. In a letter published October 28, the Facebook founders described the metaverse as an embodied internet created by multiple companies. We know what sucks. Well, let's just go through it really quick. The metaverse will not be created by one company. It will be built by creators and developers making new experiences and digital items that are interoperable and unlock a massively larger creative economy than the one constrained by today's platforms and their policies. Of course, they're investing over $10 billion into the metaverse. As for now, the metaverse appears more dream than reality, but tech companies like Microsoft, etc., are basically getting into it, right? And while Chapek didn't provide any details for his plans for the Disney metaverse, the emphasis on connecting the physical and digital worlds follows the company's recent VR focuses and its focus on Disney Plus, which is having its own dedicated event dubbed Disney Plus Day on November 12th, with new content releases and promotional offers, which of course is exactly what VeVe is doing, right? They're working with Disney for Disney Plus Day to essentially connect physical and digital worlds, and that's what we've already seen with the augmented reality that we've seen with Homer and Bart and etc. So that all looks great. Now let's have a listen to what Julia interview with Disney CEO Bob Chapek is talking about Mickey Mouse in the metaverse ? They sit down together to talk about
Disney parks prices to go into the metaverse. What is your vision for Disney in the metaverse?
Well, my vision is to use Disney Plus as the platform for the metaverse. I think it really blends.
Ironically, as he's talking, I'm using a Disney character's Piglet for my glass.
Our physical beings with our digital beings and creates a three-dimensional canvas, if you will, for our creative storytellers to paint so that we can create experiences that otherwise have been defined as it's a park experience or it's a movie experience or it's a book experience. I think those all come together without boundaries, without borders, without constraints, and our creatives are just biting at the bit to get into the Disney metaverse.
And just so I'm clear, would this be something where you're wearing a headset, VR goggles?
Yes and no. It could be that, but I don't think that every one of those experiences is going to necessarily have to have a headset on. That is not our plan.
Disney parks prices to...
I was kind of hoping for a little more on this. Let's actually see if CNBC have covered it in more detail. CNBC, Disney. Let's see if they've put anything up about it. So Disney misses on both top and Disney as a whole. Is this where they're talking about it? I do want to see if they have brought this already up on today. Maybe they haven't though. Oh, okay. Here we are. Maybe this is like the full thing.
Boom. Do you know what will inspire me even more?
We'll get there. I'm assuming 9 views, 10. What the hell? Okay, 1.8 million views. Subscribers. This must have been put out like now. Like, I'm so confused.
And about 4.5% in the after hours.
Is this the same interview?
Revenue per user. You reiterated.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's go through it. Let's just go through it.
Here's another check on Disney. Shares are down about 4.5% in the after hours on the back of earnings. The company's call just wrapped up. Let's get straight to Julia Borson live with Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Julia.
Oh, Chapek, I'm sorry.
Melissa, thanks so much. And that's right. I'm joined now by Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Bob, thank you so much for being here straight on the heels of your earnings call. We're very happy to be back in person.
Nice to be here.
So, Bob, a lot of focus on those Disney Plus subscriber numbers. The 2.1 million added was in line with what you said would be low single-digit millions, but much smaller than the 9 million that analysts had been anticipating. And this does raise some concerns about how you are going to get to those long-term goals. What do you anticipate being the drivers over the long term? How are you going to hit those numbers?
Right. We reaffirmed our guidance of 230 to 260 million households, and we believe that there are 2 primary drivers of that growth. First one is going to be the expansion into new markets. We're going to double the number of markets that Disney Plus is in international territories by fiscal year 2023. And the second component is obviously going to be new, fresh content across all of our wonderful Disney franchises.
Yeah, a lot of focus on that.
Okay, so what does new fresh content mean? Because that could be IP development, which could either be new IP development or it could be doubling down, compounding on existing IP development. It could also, on the same vein as well, could also mean putting out, more products like what we've seen from VeVe.
And a question as you think about investing more in local language content, because that was a big piece of news on the call there. Does that mean that you anticipate being able to raise prices internationally? The international subscribers traditionally have lower average revenue per user than the domestic ones.
We have 340 new originals planned for our international markets over the next couple of years. So we are making a substantial investment in local content. We do believe that we offer a tremendous price value to consumers around the globe. And all of our research indicates that. And as such, we think we've got some headroom, if you will, in terms of pricing in the future.
Headroom in terms of pricing, but you just had this really big discount that you were offering for Disney Plus. What does that tell us about how Disney Plus subs are doing so far in this quarter and what you anticipate doing in terms of internationally raising prices as well?
That promotion was planned a long, long time ago because it's a trial promotion. After being in the market for 2 years, if people haven't tried Disney Plus, we want to give them a little incentive. It's only for 30 days, and we believe that a large number.
Now, keep in mind that the NFTs that was it a 3 month and then maybe a year or something like that, but it was definitely longer than 30 days.
Those subscribers will stay on with the service once they see how fantastic it is. And we believe that because our churn rates are extraordinarily low. So that makes it a pretty good proposition.
Obviously, what I'm talking about is it's not free because you're paying $60 for the NFT. So it's not exactly the same at all. But
come in and have a trial type offer like that.
Now, one area of strength in those streaming numbers was ESPN Plus, better subscriber growth than anticipated, and also higher revenue per user. You reiterated your commitment to sports in general. What does that mean in terms of what kinds of sports rights you might go buy? The NFL Sunday Ticket, those rights are out there. Does this mean you're determined to get them?
Well, we are in discussions and negotiations with the NFL for those rights. We think they would make a particularly good addendum, if you will, to our ESPN Plus service, given the nature of what they are. But we're very bullish on sports. We mentioned during the earnings call the idea of gambling as a new revenue stream, a newfound revenue stream for us, which we think is spectacular. But as you know, with every one of the new rights deals that we cast over the last year and a half, every one of them has a very significant component for the DTC sports world. And so we're very bullish on ESPN Plus growth in the future.
Does that
I do wonder if that means that we're going to see ESPN Plus collaborations, if they're talking about trying to scale it, etc. Then, of course, I think the ESPN Plus demographic is going to be sports demographic in general, obviously. That will likely, I think, end up being NFT demographics. Tell me if I'm wrong though, because I'm not actually in the sports environment. I just sort of see roughly what demographic oftentimes buys into NFL, NBA, MLB, etc. I'm not from the States, so I'm not, but I see what demographics roughly get into it, and I think it's going to be a similar Venn diagram for NFT users.
Any more insight into when you might separate out ESPN Plus in terms of totally taking some of those rights that are on TV and shifting them over to streaming?
We're going to let the consumer be our guide there. The more and more the consumers try ESPN Plus and enjoy it and subscribe to it, gives us the wind in our sails, if you will, to believe that that's really where the
growth that some of the analysts had hoped for this past quarter.
Well, I don't think it's just about distribution. I think it's about the brand. If I were a league, I would want my sports rights to sit with ESPN because of what we can do. The Monday Night Football.
Now, if they had the sports rights to these, and tell me if I'm wrong here, because I might be, but if they have the sports rights to certain leagues and stuff, then that would, I would guess, mean that they are also able to, or at least would be able to somewhat facilitate their full sports rights to VeVe as far as like collectibles for certain athletes maybe, but I don't know how that goes because I don't know what the likeness rights are with this stuff. So
with Eli and Peyton, tremendous. But
even as much as like having like the ball, right, the football, or the baseball or something like that in an NFT form, that would, I'm assuming, go crazy.
It's brought tremendous energy. It's in the cultural zeitgeist. And I think if we can do that as the Walt Disney Company, as ESPN, for a sport, then that's basically where I think the rights should go.
But in terms of the streaming services in general, do you see your growth as coming up against the growth of Netflix and their investment in content? Is this market starting to get too saturated just for streaming services in general?
Well, I've said before that I believe that there will be a couple players at the end of the day that will both be able to do well and be very robust direct-to-consumer services. I certainly think Disney's going to be one of them. When you have the combination of our brands, our franchises, great storytellers across each one of those franchises, plus our commitment to this marketplace, I think we'll be there in the end.
Talk to us about the theme parks. Greater operating loss than anticipated. What are you seeing right now, particularly for bookings for next year?
We're seeing really great demand. Very thrilled with our demand, not only internationally, but especially domestically, but particularly, again, because of our guest experience improvements at numbers per caps, if you will, that are very, very strong and very, very healthy. So not only do a lot of people want to come, but when they come, they want to really engage in Disney.
On the call, you mentioned the metaverse. Will we all eventually be paying Disney parks prices to go into the metaverse? What is your vision for Disney in the metaverse?
Well, my vision is to use Disney Plus as the platform for the metaverse. I think it really blends our physical beings with our digital beings and creates a three-dimensional canvas, if you will, for our creative storytellers to paint so that we can create experiences that otherwise have been defined as it's a park experience or it's a movie experience or it's a book experience. I think those all come together without.
Okay, so in that case, Disney Plus is going to become more than a streaming platform, because currently my understanding is it's only a streaming platform. So that what that means is that it's a service that you pay for monthly for an account, username and login, and then you're able to watch Disney IP properties on Disney Plus. So that isn't a metaverse, that's a streaming service. But if they plan to change the whole entire Disney Plus offering as a sort of larger umbrella, I guess, because we basically seen everything else on Twitter. Am I out of focus? There I was, yeah. Then that would mean that, yeah, Disney Plus itself is going to be completely reshifting again. If their plans are, especially I'm just thinking about the upsells and the upsells that they can bring in with Disney parks. If they do that with VeVe, that will take a while. I reckon that's at least 3 to 5 years away. Obviously they're not going to bring up again some startup that most people have never heard of, you know, and basically promise investors, because that's what he's on here for, isn't it? It's basically to say, don't worry, investors, it's okay. You know, if he brings up VeVe, some tiny startup compared to Disney, and say, yeah, this company is going to be the one that's going to bring us back, you know, to life, or not bring us back to life. They're still doing well, but either way, you see where I'm going with this. So it is a bit weird. Definitely not what I expected to hear Bob Chapek talk about or say, but, you know, we'll see what happens. And of course, I'll be keeping you up to date with the story as it goes on. If this video was interesting or helpful to you in any way, shape, or form, a like is always much appreciated. And if you would like to be kept happening in this topic every single day, more time today, this is my channel. I cover everything on every single day. So if you want to be everything happening, hit that subscribe and notifications on. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next VeVe video.